The GX is like having a 4Runner that behaves and drives like a luxury car. Welcome back, I'm Tedward, and welcome to my brand new 2023 Lexus GX460. When we did the update video with 12,000 miles on my Honda Civic Type R, I mentioned that this is not the best winter daily driver and that I had dreams of something a little more rugged with potential overland build in the picture later down the line. But the real thing is, I don't want to have to drive this Civic Type R to Buffalo and do all the heavy duty crazy winter stuff, because at the end of the day, this is a great daily driver, 30 miles per gallon, 29, and it's a little race car. You can take it to the track. It's your do everything practical vehicle. It's plenty large. We have tons of space in this rear hatch, but when it comes to winter duty, yes, I put Blizzaks on it and they work fine. But if you're on a like really nasty storm in a highway and stuff, this doesn't have enough ground clearance. You always feel like you're gonna trash this front end. Of course, it's PPF'd and all protected and stuff, but still. It's also no fun. Front wheel drive in the winter, not that much fun. So now I have an all-wheel drive, full-time all-wheel drive Lexus truck. And I say truck because this is in fact a body-on-frame thing. So yeah, it's an SUV, it is a sport utility vehicle, but this is a proper truck. And this is why I went with the Lexus over the 4Runner. The 4Runner is also a truck, but this has full-time all-wheel drive, unlike the 4Runner, which is rear-wheel drive unless you put it in 4 high or 4 low. Now, here's the thing. Yes, I want an overland build. I want something that I can go and take places, and this is somewhat compromised because it only has 8.1 inches of ground clearance. This spec is the base GX460. You can get the GX460 in the base or the luxury, and the luxury gives you more luxury features, but mostly the luxury is going to give you the rear air suspension, so you can raise and lower it. Now keep in mind, you can only raise and lower the rear of those trucks. Now I didn't want that because I'm probably putting a 2-inch lift on this at some point anyway. Plus, I don't want the added complication of an air ride system. So this is all coils. Now, I bought this from Lexus of Watertown, and I have to give them a huge shout out because Kevin Silva, my sales guy, was just awesome. They had 57 of these GXs on their lot when I went there, which is pretty much the reason I went there. I figured with 57 on the lot, I'm going to get a deal, and I did. But one of the things that Kevin helped me realize, and this is where I was a little naive going into this, was I didn't know that not all of them had this tow package. And not only that, like if you're gonna get a tow package, you've gotta get it from the factory. You don't wanna do this after. This is not like something that you're like, oh cool, we'll go to U-Haul and they'll tack this on. Like no, you want this from Lexus because this will tow about 6,500 pounds, which is more than the 4Runner. Still not a lot, but it's something, and it will allow me to tow that Civic or my Porsche if I wanna do some faraway track days and wanna take some extra stuff. And one of the main reasons that I went for this GX, it's a 2023, which means it's the last of the Toyota V8s. This has a 4.6 liter naturally aspirated V8 with 301 horsepower. That's not a lot. And the new GX is imminent. It's coming. It's coming very soon. The 2024 model years are coming out. And man, they definitely look more off-road capable. They look like tanks. In fact, they really just look like a knockoff Defender, but of course it's going to be great. However, the new Land Cruisers and the new GXs look much more complicated, and this is a bulletproof machine. I wanted something that I can carelessly drive for 200,000 or 300,000 miles with oil changes. And sure, it's going to be a pig on fuel, but I'm not going to have to deal with the complications of a hybrid system. Turbos, we're already seeing evidence that like Tundras with the twin turbo V6 are having some hiccups and issues, which I'm sure Toyota will smooth out. I am not concerned about that, but I don't want the first model year of that V6, nor do I want the first model year of the hybrid 4-cylinders or any of that kind of stuff. I really think that this is the way to go if you want like longevity and reliability. Not to mention that this V8 is just a peach. So I have it in eminent white pearl. It has so much metallic flake in this thing, and we're gonna have to go through and do a little bit of a paint correction. It's pretty good, honestly. I'm pretty impressed with what I'm seeing from factory. But inside we've got the red leather. Oh man, this was a must. So I think Atomic Silver is a better color on this truck, but I'm really happy with the white. I just really had to have this red leather. This was like an absolute must. And one of the things is that you go to a lot of Lexus dealers and you see see these trucks, they're almost all boring. They're almost all beige. And I did not, no offense if you've got a beige GX interior. That's totally fine. I'm not trying to tell you got bad taste, but it's not for me. And I really wanted a black headliner. Now, the best spec of this is the Nori Green Blackline Edition. I couldn't find one of those, nor would I get this under MSRP if I found one. I'm sure those sell for full price. But inside, now we've got the new system, the new setup right here, because remember, until 2022, GXs were ugly inside, like real ugly. They had that big screen right here. It was not a touchscreen, which means you had to use this absolute nightmare of a scroll pad, which you have the touchpad still, but now this is a touch screen, and I'm keeping this on. Maybe we'll like ceremonially remove this at the end of the video, because I asked Kevin to leave that on for me. I'm like, look, do whatever you got to do to PDI the truck, just please leave this on so I can peel it off. He thought, well, yep, you're one of us, you're a car guy. So anyway, it has 3 rows. There's a row in the back. It's a lovely space. And even this steering wheel makes me really happy. I think, you know, they've had this since I think 2020. I think that this steering wheel was part of that update, and it looks so good. It's heated. I've got heated seats. And one of the best things about the heated seats in this truck is that it's not a button. It's not a button that you just press. It actually is like a scrolly wheel, which means that if I just leave it like on high when I park the truck, I can remote start this thing when I'm in the house, and then my seats will be warm as well as the car when I get out here. What a lovely winter thing. Also, oh my goodness, a handle on the A-pillar. You don't get this on like Chevy trucks. No offense to Chevy and GMC, but man, oh man, I've complained about that. I love having this grab handle. It makes life so much easier. Now, one of the things that kind of sucks about this truck is it doesn't have a great approach angle. I think it's 21 degrees. This is another reason why I did not want the luxury edition of the truck, because the lower bumper, the bumper on the front actually goes lower on the luxury, so that's no good. But this has the premium package, so we get the LED fogs, and we get heated steering wheel, heated outboard rear seats in the back. That's lovely stuff. I don't know, oh yeah, there it is. Okay, here and here, lovely. That's great. So my rear passengers will be happy if we go on any ski trips. And if I'm going to do an overland build, it's going to get a 2-inch lift, maybe an Icon suspension. That'd be really cool with the remote reservoirs. This running board, that's got to go. That kills your breakover angle. But one of the things is this doesn't have any type of protection underneath. There's no big old like skid plates, and I really want that to be protected. I really want to protect like the gas tank and the oil pan and the differentials and stuff. But one of the other reasons why I really needed this tow package in my life is because look at this. If you are coming down a hill, your departure angle isn't that great either. So this will protect this. This is great. You can actually like slam into this a little bit on the way down rather than ripping your rear bumper off. So that's lovely. GX magic, right? Big old barn door. How cool is that? And I've got tons of room for my stuff. I've actually got to take this out to Albany. I'm doing my first drive. It has 50 miles on it right now because I put 40 on it yesterday. I'm going to do about 300 today, and we're going to see what the fuel economy looks like. You get these trick little Lexus first aid kits. I've got my tow ball hitches and all that good stuff. Plenty of room for everything. There is a 3rd row in all of these, and because this isn't the luxury edition, you don't get any buttons here. They're not manual. I mean, they're not automatic. They're not motorized. I don't care. I don't need a motorized 3rd row. In fact, I don't need a 3rd row at all, but it's nice to have in the event that you're gonna have 7 people in the thing. But so this is kind of uncomfortable. Everyone talks about this. We're like, okay, we're in America, right? We drive on the right side of the road, not the correct side, the right side. I'm not trying to be political here. But if you're parked along a curb and you're coming out, you've got to basically be in traffic loading your car. But one of the beautiful things about the GX, it is a split hatch. So unlike the 4Runner, which has a probably superior setup with the roll down rear glass, at least this opens and gives you access to it. So pretty psyched on that. So let's jump in, start it up, and go for a drive. All right, let's start it up. Foot on the brake. I've got my start stop button over here. And look at that, a car sold in 2023, brand new with analog gauges. Yeah, I've got a little LCD guy in the middle for certain information, but analog gauges. This is my dream. This is what I want. I don't want a full LCD dashboard. This is actually what I want. I'm gonna use this little scrolly guy and turn my heated seat on, and then down here, my heated steering wheel. It's 34 degrees out right now. And you'll notice that when we started the video, I think I told you I had 51 miles on the car. Now it has 426 because actually yesterday I put about 380 miles on the car, something like that. And I wanted to do that so that way I could have a little better idea of what I was talking about in terms of drivability, because sometimes you got to spend some time with some things. But I did a nice long road trip in it, and it is every bit a Lexus, despite the fact that this is essentially a Prado and shares a lot of parts with the Toyota 4Runner. I drove a 4Runner recently because I did consider the 4Runner in my search. It's a little bit cheaper, but honestly, by the time I got my deal on this GX, it was nearly the same cost as a nice 4Runner. So now that the engine's getting a little warm, I got it in reverse. I've got a decent camera. It's very fisheyed, so it's hard to say. I think it's about the same quality as my Honda, but it's a little more fisheyed, so I think that'll help for off-road stuff. But what I also notice is I feel like I have really good visibility out of the side and rear of this vehicle. Like, this is the beauty of having something that's essentially 10 years old, or older, really. I mean, this is based on a really old truck. It doesn't have all the new car failures, which means like low visibility and all this other stuff. The GX is like having a 4Runner that behaves and drives like a luxury car. And that's exactly what I wanted, because I'm gonna do long distances in this vehicle. I'm gonna have to drive for hours and hours on end in it. And although the 4Runner out of the box has better approach angle, breakover angle, departure angle, it's more formidable for the off-roady stuff, I don't see that as being the primary mileage eater of this vehicle. I mean, I'm gonna do some overlanding with it. I want to put a roof tent on it. I want to put some like 31s on it. I know we should go like 33s, but I want to be able to put a spare tire underneath the rear of the car, and I don't think you can fit anything larger than a 31 in there. Now, unfortunately, the heated steering wheel, it only covers like the leather bits, I think, or just these little bits here. So this stuff right here, which is, I guess, like they call wood trim or whatever, but it's just kind of black plasticky feeling, that's not warm. But if I just keep my hands where they should be at 9 and 3, then I'm a toasty little boy. The seat is incredibly comfortable. I spent probably 5.5 hours driving this yesterday, and my back was fine. And my back is a little sensitive. I don't usually do well on long drives, and this felt fantastic. I was hungry because I forgot to stop to eat, but that's my fault. That's not the truck. And then the suspension really absorbs lots of stuff. It's still a truck, so we'll go over the tracks. No problem. And yeah, sure, for off-road, maybe my approach angle is only 21 degrees, but for everything that I can hit on a normal roadway, totally formidable, totally beefy and ready for action. There were so many potholes that I hit yesterday on my way out to Albany from the Boston area that could have been a game-ending event for the Honda. I've been lucky. I have not gotten any flat tires in the Honda from potholes. I did pick up a nail at one point that needed to be patched. That was unfortunate. But at least this has so much sidewall, and it's able to hit the craters that develop over the winter, because when you live in a place with cold weather and snow, it's not just the snow and the salt that does you in. It's the plows tearing up the roadways. I don't think people who live in like temperate and warm climates really realize how destroyed our roads get just from scraping plows and everything just destroying these roads. And the roads deform as well, because any moisture, any water underneath the roadways freezes, and that's called a frost heave. So that's when you get those like big like ruts and stuff, because it deforms the road. Water is a menace, and it does a really big number on our roadways. And if you're driving a sports car, even if you're on the right tires, you're on a set of Blizzaks or something, it's not gonna be pretty. You're gonna have issues. You're gonna hit something that you don't like, and especially in a real snowstorm, it doesn't take a whole lot of accumulation to get up to the little bottom of the bumper. And with this, I can plow it if if it gets any higher. We'll be just fine. Now, this also has, like I said, full-time all-wheel drive, unlike the 4Runner, which was kind of a big deal for me. Now, off-road, it's preferable to have the 4Runner setup, because this does not have a locking rear differential. That's a little bit of a bummer. And it was actually kind of a thing where I really debated on this versus 4Runner because of that locking diff. But with the A-Track system in this and the locking center differential, which will lock the front wheels to the rear wheels, and there'll be a 50-50 distribution, it does a really good job of making things happen. So maybe this isn't going to be like the Moab rock crawler that you expect from some of the crazier off-road builds on the internet, but I think it's going to do me just fine based on kind of like the light off-roading and overlanding that I'm planning to do with it in the future. Handling wise, this looks like a big old chonky truck. It looks top heavy, it looks cumbersome, it looks weird, and the old ones kind of do feel that way, but they have just dialed this in over the years, over and over and over again. And we have KDSS standard, and that means that these sway bars will essentially hydraulically pressurize in order to stiffen up in a corner and then allow you off-road to droop a wheel and disconnect those sway bars when you need to put a wheel down, because off-road, your goal is always to keep tires on a contact patch. That's how you have maximum traction and grip. And then we're gonna just gently merge. There's a cool C4 Corvette coming up on the left right now. We're gonna use the full merge because we're good doobies, but check this out, ready? Oh, yes. That's what we like to see, a clean C4. All right. Now I'm kind of playing the break-in game here a little bit, so I'm not revving it out too high, but I don't necessarily know that there's actually a break-in period with these, but I am trying to be mild with it for probably 1,000 miles or so, just so that way we're in the clear and we don't run into any kind of like future oil consumption issues, which I genuinely don't expect to see. Now, is this a Durango police car or is it a fire? I see fire. That's the coolest fire vehicle ever. I love to see like non-Ford authority. There's something about it that I really like when I see like a Tahoe cop or a Durango. That's so much more pleasing to the eye than an Explorer. Okay, so now we're out here on the highway, cruising at like 75 miles an hour. One of the things about these trucks is they overestimate your speed on the speedometer. So this will say I'm at 77. If we go to Waze, I bet it'll say 75. Let's see. 76. Okay, so it's like 2 miles over on this, which probably saved my butt yesterday because I definitely was driving near the limit where I should have been pulled over right in front of a cop. And when I say right in front of a cop, I mean like he was behind me and I was passing somebody. He was very friendly and he blew past me at like 80, so, or actually really faster than that, but that's fine. So when I put the larger tires on, when I get like a 31, it should just even that out. It should end up dead on with the speedometer and then they'll be accurate. Now it has radar cruise, which I don't necessarily love, but what I do love is this cruise control stock, because this cruise control stock is everything. This is what I loved in my BMW. This is what I liked in old Audis. This is what I liked in old Toyotas, like a Camry. Everything is getting too complex. And this is one of the other reasons why I purchased this 2023 GX and did not wait for the 2024. I wanted the car that I wanted. I wanted the truck that I wanted. I wanted analog gauges. I wanted a robust, reliable, prolific V8 that I know is going to last me, that has service history in terms of like millions of these things being made, and we know what's going to go wrong with them. We know how to maintain them. We know how to service them. I don't want to worry about like some new platform that is unknown. And sure, you can play that warranty game, but all it takes is for something to be crummy, and then the depreciation is going to hit in an ugly way. Now, because I got this for pretty significant money under MSRP, my depreciation hit is like taken care of for the first year or two. I'm good on that. And I fully expect that this is going to A, serve me really well, but B, it's going to take the miles away from the Honda. And I get it. Like, some people are like, well, why don't you just daily drive the Honda? It doesn't matter if you stack miles on a car. Stacking miles on a car is the point of owning a car. That driving is driving. Like, I get it. Like, there's a thing though where boring miles, I have no source of pride in boring miles. When I drive the Honda, if I put 50,000 miles on that Honda doing this trip from here to Waltham and back every day, it's like 80 miles, and I put 50,000 miles on that Honda, I'm not going to look back and say, wow, that was a great 50,000 miles. I'm going to look back and say those were wasted miles. Those were boring miles that all the miles that I want to put on that car are on a racetrack or on a fun road or on a cool road trip where I get to spend time with people that I love and hit some roads that I really want to enjoy. In a truck like this, while yes, it's beautiful, it's expensive, it's nice, it isn't special. It is not a special edition. It's not designed to go to a racetrack. If I put 50 or 100,000 miles on this truck driving on the highway, good. That's what it's meant for. That's why it's here, to do just that. And I'm telling you, like, there is a thing when you look at an odometer and you go, wow, those were all terrible miles. That's like saying going to work and working 10-hour days every day in a cubicle was like, wow, what a life well lived. Like, not really. Not really. You didn't enjoy any of it. So why are we looking at those miles and saying those were enjoyable miles? They were not. Now, in comparison to the Honda, which is the stupidest comparison you could make, yeah, it's a lot more floaty, but I do find that the steering is weighted really well. It's perfect for highway cruising. I remember these in the past wandering more on me, being a little more cumbersome to drive on the highway, taking a little more energy, and it doesn't. I'm like in love with this truck, and I don't have the Mark Levinson sound system. This is the 9-speaker premium audio, and it's great. It's fantastic, and it doesn't have like the aggressive bass that the Mark Levinson has, but I might put a subwoofer in the back. Well, who knows? You know, Dana's good at wiring things up, so maybe he'll do my sound system for me. Either way, this is right now, I think, the absolute right decision. I'm so happy with my GX460, and I'm gonna go crunch some miles, go do a photo shoot with something else, but I'm gonna come back to this. We're gonna do like full driving impressions and all the goodies on this thing pretty soon, and I want to show you some great snow driving. Remember, 70% of the power goes to the rear, so we can slide this. I can't slide the Honda. I've got a little flippy parking brake in the Honda, no handbrake, so I can't go do any fun, cute little slides in my front-wheel drive Type R. But what I can do is I can kill the traction control on my GX, and we can go have some fun and do a little off-roading, do a little snow stuff. I absolutely can't wait. So, thank you guys so much for watching, liking, commenting, and subscribing. Don't forget to respect the drive, and I'll see you in the next one. You know how you can tell this is a genuinely old vehicle? It's in the blinker, because when I press the blinker like this, it gives me one blink at a time. It doesn't do 3 blinks. I wonder if there's a setting in here. There probably is. I'll find it. I'm sure you'll comment on it, but like, I have not driven a car in years that has not had the 3 blink system on this. That's nuts.